Good evening and welcome to this Roll for Crit preview. Today we're going to analyze Quartermaster from Slinky Gibbon Games. In this game you are quarter novices at a spy's headquarters where there was an explosion and you're now being audited. It is up to you to build the craftiest, coolest gadget to prove you are worthy of that promotion before the audit is finished.
You are going to be attempting to do so using these cubes of different colors. Each person at the start of the game will have a secret blueprint, and they are trying to make that shape with these colors in those places. There may also be some other points in there for you at the end of the game, which we'll get to later. On your turn, it's essentially a worker placement game. You are going to take your meeple. The turn order is determined by whichever tile is underneath the auditor's tile, which goes on top of things, and you place it on any one of these available spaces and follow their instructions. A lot of times they will involve drawing random parts from the bag. Those parts are in the form of colored cubes, and you can add them to your creation. You can put them wherever you want as long as they are adjacent to another cube and fully touching them. You can't have it be diagonal or just halfway or anything like that.
You're going to have the two spaces here which will always be available to you, which either give you the Eddie tokens or the intern. Eddie tokens pretty much are a safety net because some of these tiles will ask you to rearrange, steal, or mess with your opponent's gadget. So if someone tries to mess with your items, you can take the Eddie coin, you flip it, and unfortunately here it came out tails, but if it comes out heads, you've avoided the interaction. The intern, on the other hand, pretty much gives you an extra worker. After everyone has placed their workers, you will get to place an intern. So if everyone's placed their workers like that, on any of the free spaces left, pretty much giving you another free turn. Odds are, though, that the intern will be fought over to get that nice free labor.
As the game goes on, this auditor's tile is actually going to be moving down, and that's how you mark the change of the round. So each round, it will cover a different tile, and then that action is no longer available until finally, when it gets to the very bottom and moves off, the game is over. You flip over and reveal what your contraptions were supposed to be, and you get points. So you get points for completing the shape, you get points for matching colors, you also just get a base amount of points for different colors that are in there. So the white ones are worth the least, whereas the black ones are worth the most. So as you play, you're going to try to prioritize which colors you think are most important in terms of what you want to match versus what you want to keep. You might do something because it's harder for someone else to mess with your contraption if your cube is being blocked in by other cubes, because you cannot remove one from an opponent if it would make a gap in their blueprint.
You also can't mess with a cube that has a cube touching on all four ends. So in this case, I'm going to actually need to steal one more cube. This white cube in the center cannot be messed with.
Right.
But you also don't score anything that doesn't fit your pattern. So for example, the one I have here, the X-ray monocle, even with all these cubes on, the only ones that are going to score are these that fit that shape.
Right, so you can have a whole bunch of extra things going on with your contraption, your gadget, whatever you want to call it, but they're not going to help you. But they might help you in that maybe to throw other people off, that's what you're trying to go for.
Or even just, as I said, protecting it by putting something on all four sides.
Or depriving other people of those cubes. If you have ones that are worth more points, you might as well throw them on there.
One more small thing is there's these tiles. They're sort of an optional thing. Either they can go on this side here, which provide more effects to tiles, which are pretty cool. Or each person can get one, in which they have a secret pattern on the back, which if you're able to fit that in there, whether it's rotated or not, so for example for this monocle, I do it like that. That gives me an additional 7 points.
Yeah, so those add another layer of something you're going for, right? Make it a little bit more interesting. Those are recommended for player counts of 3 or 4. You can play with 2 to 4 players, and that's when you have them attached like this, so you have even more options. And a lot of those also provide more player interaction of stealing and swapping with people. And what's cool also about this game is that if you don't have that player count, it comes with a system where you can basically add in an AI, a bot, if you will, who will just roll dice. They're not really trying to build their own thing, but they will take cubes and potentially take up spaces depending on how these roll. So you can actually play this solo or you can just fill it in, like I said, if you want to play with, feel like you're having 4 players, but don't have that many players.
Yes, the bot named Steve.
That's right. It stands for something, but I don't remember what. It's complicated.
But the game itself was actually pretty fun because that's what sort of feels like. Steve does replicate very well of just sort of at first thinking, how do I make this the best puzzle, especially depending on some of the things you get. I remember one game I did get the monocle, and I can't seem to find it. It's probably the one I put here, yes. And that fit perfectly with what I wanted to build. So I'm like, oh, that's amazing. And so trying to do that, but at the same time, when you see someone, you're like, oh, he really likes that white cube there, or the orange cube. I'm going to swap with a white because that's lower points. Have fun with that.
Right. Unless I flip my Eddie token. And
Exactly.
Putting together these little cube contraptions. I keep saying the word contraption. I don't know why.
Well, because you are making contraptions.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I think they call them gadgets, though. It is really cool to make, you get kind of this tangible sense of building something, feeling like you're creating something. And it's very, very quick. It's streamlined. So if you're someone who likes worker placement games, but you don't have the time to play some of the heavier ones, or you can't convince people to do so, this is a great option because you can see it's very, very small, does not take up a lot of table space, there's not that many options on the field, and you basically just, you put something out there, very straightforward, and you go.
And the only randomness, which I know is usually the thing people don't like if they enjoy worker games, is in the cubes, but everything is a ratio, as you can see. So you generally know if you can count on the board, like, oh, if I've already seen 2 black cubes, it's a little hard. And one of the tiles that depending on what comes up, because it depends what tiles are here, is a choose your own. So if you really don't want that, you can make sure that's out to make sure people can get what they want.
Yeah, there's ways to do it, as well as, of course, swapping with other players who you see have a color you want, like you said. Quartermaster, it's on Kickstarter right now. You can go there and see what it's going to look like. This is just a preview copy. See what different kinds of things they have going on there. And let us know in the comments if it's something you're thinking about backing, or if you have any other thoughts at all for us. We would love to hear them.
Until then, I'm Agent W.
And I'm Agent J. I caught on to what you were doing there with the initials. And this was Roll for Crit.
Don't forget to like and subscribe for more board game content. Every little bit helps.
Please, we gotta eat.